Good day, everybody. I'm out in the shop today, and yesterday in the tool world I had an epic fail. Oh, it kind of broke my heart. After like 35 years, actually since I started my apprenticeship as a heavy industrial mechanic millwright here in Ontario, I was like 19 years old, I think, when I bought this ratchet. And it's a gray. And gray tools were prevalent in Canada. They were made in Canada, and they all are stamped Canada. If you look at these gray ratchets, I brought some out. I'm going to show you a few different ones. Every one of them right there. Canada, right in them. And gray makes a super, super good quality ratchet, heavy duty, and they were always built heavy duty. They're built really heavy. They're built really robust gray tools. They just always have been. It's like they built them for heavy industry, guys that were going to be maybe a bit harder on their tools and using them more hours per day. I think that's what gray made. But what they did do, I'll tell you, when I was young, 19, 20 years old, I'm 56 now. So when I was like 19 years old, 20 years old, Canadian Tire here in Ontario or in Canada, and some hardware stores, Gray had their outlets where they sold to, and these guys, the retail outlets, and these guys would then sell them like the hardware store, Canadian Tire, like I said, all them. And you could buy these on sale relatively cheap. In fact, these gray tools, this gray ratchet, when they were on sale, you could buy them really cheap. Like it was one of your cheapest lines of tools out there. These gray 1/2 inch. Here's a 3/8 drive gray here. And they would have these on sale in the little kits, 3/8 drive socket set. And you got a gray ratchet made in Canada. And you know what? They were fabulous. And they last a lifetime, really, for the most part. Now, I killed this ratchet. I killed it this week. I beat on it with a hammer. I was trying to get something undone, and somehow I ruined it. Well, I took it apart. I took it out. The pawl is still good inside, right there. The pivoting pawl in there for your ratcheting mechanism still good. The chuck is still good on here. Everything is good except, look at the little tiny spring-loaded poppet that pushes on the inside of your pawl. It flips it from forward to reverse. That's the whole idea of this spring. That spring-loaded poppet's supposed to put pressure on the pawl, and it's supposed to lock it in forward or reverse. Anyway, I wrecked it. I wrecked a good working ratchet because I was being kind of forceful, and our ratchet, it was starting to get worn a little bit, so I kind of was tapping on the head of it with a hammer, and I screwed it up. So anyway, I took it apart and I ruined it. But anyway, for all you guys that are into tools out there, I laid out some ratchets that I've got and I've acquired over the years, and ones that I like. And different styles for a little bit different functions. But anyway, Gray still makes tools. They're still in business today in Canada. I guess they just changed ownership a while ago, and they're going to a more enhanced gray tool, much more polished and refined, little more higher end product they're putting out now, and they're still carrying on, which is good. Here's a typical gray ratchet right here. And if you listen to the gray and you work with the gray ratchets, they have a much more coarse gearing on them. The gear set inside this head is much more. I haven't taken it apart to see how many teeth were on there, that ratchet on that pawl, but they're fairly aggressive and they're very coarse. So that means in a tight space, you're going to have to move that ratchet a lot more to pick up one tooth if you were in a tight location with this ratchet, as where here's another beauty, S52 Super Ratchet made by Williams. And there's a story on these too. But anyway, you listen to the Williams. Much more refined ratchet, much finer teeth, Much finer teeth than the Williams. If you had this in the same location, you would only have to stroke this ratchet a little bit to pick up a tooth. And that's the difference between the gray and the Williams right here. This is a much more aggressive ratchet for getting on and maybe torquing on really hard. This Williams is more of a kind of a snap-on, refined ratchet. You can just tell it's much more refined, but a beautiful ratchet. I mean, for the guys out there that know their tools and have a respect for USA-made tools or North American-made tools, Canadian-made, something made in our continent, North American continent. I know that the tradesmen out there, guys like myself, they got a respect for these older tools. And I suppose Williams, they probably still make tools today. In fact, I think they do. Maybe they're not quite a good a quality. I don't know for sure, but they used to make tools right across the border on the outside of Buffalo, New York there. And I forget which town they made them in. I don't know if it was Lockport, New York or where it is, but some guys watching this video will know. I can't remember where Williams come out of, but they did have a plant really close to the Ontario, USA border down there. And that's how I acquired these tools, through my dad. Because my dad used to go over there all the time, and he knew somebody that worked at the J.H. Williams and Company over there, and they weren't very far out of Buffalo, New York. I remember that, and that's where all these tools come from. These come directly from an employee at the J.H. Williams factory that used to be there. That's a fact, and I just can't remember which town they were in. Outside North Tonawanda, outside Buffalo, New York. I just remember that, and I've got all my dad's tools when he passed away. The Williams tools, I took them because they're good. They're a good quality tool. So that's just something you want to hold on to. Good quality is not everywhere nowadays. So when it comes to older Williams, older Proto, Snap-on, and you know, stuff like that, SK, Super Chrome, SK, stuff like that, they were pretty good tools. So it's just stuff you want to take care of. And I find that I've used these so much, these gray and these Williams and stuff like that, that when they break, you get pissed off. And it's like, some of them you can't even get rebuild kits. I don't even know if I can get a rebuild kit for these gray ratchets anymore, but I'm going to find out. And, or this Williams, can I get a rebuild kit for the head of this? I don't know. So if you can't and you break it and you can't fix it yourself, then you're kind of pissed off because you think, wow, an old tool like this is a lifetime tool. And you want to take care of them. So we'll move on down to the line. Like I said, this is a bit more polished gray. And lot longer handle. Nice ratchet. Here's another one. Different style head on this gray right there. They both come apart with a 2-screw combo. You can take the guts right out of them. You can lubricate them up, clean them up, take the pawl out. They're all serviceable ratchets. So, unlike myself sometimes, I have taken them apart, but I don't do it on a regular basis. When you take these apart and you disassemble the ratcheting head on these and you take care of them, blow them out with a compressor, oil them up a little bit, put them together, they will last for a lifetime as long as you don't hit them hard with a hammer, shock them, you know, break the flats on top of the teeth, break the tips off the teeth, the crest of the teeth. You don't want to do that. And this guy I was a little bit rougher on. And then another good ratchet right here. Hold on. I'll tell you what it is. It's a Proto, and it's years old. 5450 Proto Professional USA. And I like this ratchet. These two are excellent ratchets, these Protos, and they're they're coarse, but yet they feel refined. That's what I like about the Proto. And it's a bit more slimline design on the head too. If you look at the Proto, it's just slightly thinner on the head, and I've always liked them. And nice ratchet. And the spring tension on these isn't quite as much. It moves easy. It's not nearly as aggressive as the gray. Just a nice quality ratchet. You know what? If you got Proto tools, And Proto's still in business today. They still knock out tools. They're still huge in the tool game, and they make good tools. Now, I'm not going to say that today's modern tools are as good as these older tools. They could very well be better. I don't know, but I'm just saying this is what I have, old tools. A lot of my tools here are at least 20 years old. A lot of them are 25 to 30 years, 35-year-old tools. I mean, I've had a lot of these tools and built up a collection over the years. So, good tools, Gray, Williams. And here is another tool. And these guys, I don't think are in business anymore. Armstrong, USA, right there. If you look, Armstrong, USA. I've got lots of Armstrong tools too. And I think you can call this a spud ratchet, tapered ratchet, iron worker ratchet. That's how I used to call them. You'll see all the iron workers, man. And those guys built these cities, these iron workers. And you know what? The beam crawlers and or beam walkers, whatever you want to call them. They always have like a spud ratchet in there. And the whole idea on that tapered handle is for alignment. If you got a hole and you got to match two holes up and they're out of a line, anything, even to pry something, a hole alignment, stick it in there, move it around, there you go. Armstrong USA, and another nice feeling ratchet. This one here's got minimal hours. It's older, but I've got minimal hours in this guy here. And you kind of get attached to these good old tools, you know. You can depend on them. They always work for you. So I tend to take care of them as best as I can anyway. And I could be a bit better. Right here, these little guys. This here, 1/4-inch drive. You got your quarters, your 3/8, and your 1/2-inch drives. Well, this is 1/4-inch. This is about as small as it gets for a ratchet. This, again, is a little Proto. And anytime you got small stuff, these are good for if you're working on any softer metals, a motorcycle, maybe an ATV, anything where you don't need that power and you're just working, putting bolts in aluminum housing, softer material. You can just take it easy. There's not a lot of torque or inch pounds on the fastener, so you can just take it easy, and these little guys work good. And this is quite a few years old, this little Proto too. Trouble-free. I always keep it in my 1/4-inch drive collection. In the 1/4-inch sockets. Great. This guy here, I love these combination ratchets. For you guys that have them, you probably like them too. And a guy that I always see on YouTube, it's funny, using a combination ratchet, and it's usually the orange one, is Andrew Camarada. He always has that combo ratchet, and I'd like to get one. The orange one, you'll always see him using it, and it's a combo one, and they're just so handy. This happens to be, I think his is maybe 3/8 and 1/2 combo. Well, this is a 1/4 and 3/8 combo, shorty, and just nice for tight locations, these little guys. You know, if you got to get in somewhere, and this one has, if you listen, very fine ratchet. And it works excellent. This guy here's got a very fine ratchet on him and very fine teeth. And I use this one often. I just say I have to use this one quite often. And like it. Nice combo ratchet. Chinese, I suppose, because if you look at it, workforce. And I mean, we could talk about tools all day on how the same ratchets or the same wrenches may be made in the same line, but I can tell you for a fact, I know for a fact, all tools are not created equally. Even if we had two wrenches forged in the same Chinese plant or produced in the same Chinese plant, to me, the metallurgy is not the same. You could have a cheaper wrench, you could have a better quality wrench, but I'll guarantee you it all comes down to the metallurgy and the specs that the company gives these manufacturers to build to. So I don't believe that all tools are created equally, and I just don't think they are. You can get cheaper wrenches that you cannot pound on, like you can a good quality wrench, and they just won't stand up. That's just my opinion anyway. And here you go back to right here. Older gray. This one here, these two are basically the same ratchet. This one here is really old. This guy here, I've used this in heavy industry for years, probably almost the same age as this 1/2-inch drive here. This ratchet here, like I said, 35-year-old ratchet right here, and I'll tell you right now what it is. It is a Gray Canada S69 ratchet. And this thing here, again, much more aggressive teeth on it, but it works like a champ. Never let me down, this Gray. And it's old, and actually you can see, like this one, the chroming's actually coming all off the handle, peeling off and everything. This guy here, he's getting a little bit of it too. The chrome coming off, I guess you'd call it chrome. The finish is coming off anyway. And they're just a more heavy, robust ratchet for 3/8. Now this guy here, I found him at a yard sale, and he actually come with all the sockets in his little kit. It was like brand new, and I didn't pay much for it. $10 or something. I thought, wow, I'm going to grab that ratchet. Did I need this ratchet? Absolutely not. I didn't need this thing. As you can tell, I don't need any ratchets. But if somebody at a yard sale has a Gray tool, and it comes up for sale, you guys, and you see stuff like this at yard sales, farm auctions, estate sales, because in Southern Ontario, where I come from, you'd see all that kind of stuff. So you'd get in there, go to yard sales, and this guy here, like brand new. Beauty. And he come with the little gray sockets. So I grabbed him right away. So I got 2 of them, and that's fine. And right here, older Craftsman. I don't have a ton of Craftsman ratchets. Actually, this might be the only one, but I have some this is an older Craftsman. Great tools, as far as I'm concerned. Craftsman made good tools years ago. I don't even know what they make now for tools. I've lost complete track of Craftsman. I don't even know where they are in the world nowadays. I know they still make rechargeable tools, but as far as their hand tools, I've lost track. But anyway, I've had a lot of older Craftsman wrenches, stuff like that. Great. Good as anything out there, I think. And this one here, not nearly the spring tension that the Gray has on it. Not much as coarse and aggressive as a Gray in the ratcheting system in the head of a Gray, because they just are really heavy duty. This Craftsman, a little more refined, softer ratcheting pawl. You can hear it. Works good, trouble free. I've had it for years. And these ones here have their place too. I don't use them a ton, but I do use them. The Proto. And I've got lots of Proto tools. I love Proto tools. I always have. This is a Proto 5257A 3/8 drive swivel head ratchet. And in heavy industry, where I come from, where I spent my whole life, really, in heavy industry, we were hard on tools. There's no doubt about it. We were hard on tools. We just didn't give a shit sometimes, because time is money in heavy industry, and when something breaks down and you got a good group of guys in a job, you don't give a shit about your tools sometimes. You do, but you don't. What you're in there to do is get that line up and running, get production back up and running, and you do whatever it takes. And sometimes it takes breaking tools, bending tools, prying with tools, hammering on tools. We don't care. We just want to get in there and get that job done and get that line back up and get making money. Because in heavy industry, if that line's making money, you're making money. Everybody's making money. That's just the corporate world, man. And that's how it is. So we don't give a shit about our tools sometimes. So anyway, back to this Proto. Great tool. Very, very refined in the ratcheting head on this Proto. You look at this, good quality tool. Made in USA. I love Proto. I do. Proto, well, I like them all. I can't say it. There's nothing here I don't like. This guy here, I like this Chinese ratchet, and because it seems to work real good, don't know who makes it. It says Workforce, but whatever. It's just a generic ratchet, and it seems to hold up pretty good too. But the Proto and these North American made stuff, that's what I made my living with. in heavy industry, very rare, if hardly ever, would you see us guys come on the job with a no-name, identifiable ratchet or wrench in our hand. Usually us trades guys in heavy industry, when we came on a job, almost all of us, our tools always had a name brand on them. I don't care if it was Craftsman, Proto, Snap-on, not much for Williams. The Williams tools there, Williams really wasn't that popular that I've seen in Canada in my trade's history. Good tools, excellent, and probably really popular in the States, but not so much here. But anyway, when we come onto a job site in heavy industry as a tradesman, you always had name brand tools. And it's something you could beat on and you could count on. But anyway, I got a couple of these Proto swivel head ratchets, and they've definitely stood the test of time. Good for oddball locations with that swivel head on them, and very, very fine ratcheting head. And you just hear it. Very fine. So with that ratcheting fine tooth pawl on the head and the handle at offsets wherever, you could get into some nasty locations with a Proto and you could still get a job done, you know, because it takes very minimal stroke on the handle to get a tooth engaged. So they were very handy for those real bastard situations where you were way up over your head or down underneath something, laying on your back. Very good for getting into those bad locations on that. But anyway, now we'll talk about this guy. This is just how often do you ever use a palm ratchet? Do you guys ever use palm ratchets? They're handy. They're handy for getting down underneath something. And then some of you may not even have seen that this is called a palm ratchet 3/8 drive. And there you go. You just put your socket on. And that's it. That's a palm ratchet. You hold it there, snap your socket on, and sometimes you may not have hardly any room to put a regular ratchet or anything. There's a place for everything, and you just stick that palm ratchet on. They have their place. You might not use them much, but when you need one, they're very handy. So this one here, don't even know. It doesn't even have a make on it, so obviously it's probably Chinese, and I probably got it years ago at Princess Auto or somewhere like that. But you know what? For the few times I've used it, very handy little ratchet. And then you've got your one last thing we'll look at here. Breaker bar attachments. These two right here. 1/2 drive, 3/8 drive. And you got your breaker bar, of course, right there. I've got an older Armstrong, and you can see this guy here has been through the gears. This thing here has been in heavy industry with me for years and years and years. You can see the chrome's all flaking off everywhere. Chrome's gone. This thing has been used, probably abused. Not probably, it has been. So you got your standard breaker bar, Johnson bar, call it what you will. But now you can get a ratcheting adapter for the end. You just snap on the end of that and you turn it into a ratchet right there. And it becomes a ratchet for you. And if you don't happen to have a ratchet and all you got's a breaker bar, you got an adapter, just another tool to snap on. If you get into an oddball location or that's all you have, then you could snap that on there. And these ratcheting attachments, you wonder how you reverse them. Well, you go inside with a screwdriver right in there. There's a slot in the bottom of this square chuck hole, and you just turn it with a screwdriver, and you can change the direction of your ratchet. And that's all there is to those. And they have their place, 3/8, 1/2 drive. Snap them on a Johnson bar, whatever. So anyway, this video just stemmed from me breaking this 1/2 ratchet yesterday and thinking, God, I had this my whole life, this thing basically. So I'm going to see if I can't get a complete rebuild kit for the head of that gray. I'm going to email Gray, because they got a plant over in Brampton. I'm going to email them service and get a hold of them. See if I cannot get a rebuild kit for this ratchet. Maybe I can. Maybe I can't, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you guys some of these ratchets I have. And does a man need this many ratchets? Not really. But over the years, I've just collected tools, and I'll show you some of my other specialty tools I have for hydraulics, hydraulic valve stacks, hydraulic manifolds. I'll show you some slimline wrenches and some split wrenches for hydraulics. I'll show you a bunch of specialty tools that I used to use in heavy industry. Kind of neat looking at them, and I've got a lot of tools over there, so it'll be kind of fun looking at them if you're into tools. And if you use tools for a living, or if you have used tools, it's just kind of nice to see the different kind of tools that are out there. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. And I'll keep you updated, and I'll see what becomes of this, because I want to save this if I can. I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to save it, and then maybe I'll stumble onto a repair kit somewhere. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in.